So those are going to be another form of bell pepper. And then we have here our California Wonders that I started. We'll see how those do. Then we have over here our Pepper Orange Sun. Those are going to be orange peppers. We'll see how well those do. Over here we have our jalapenos, our 2 jalapenos. We'll see how those are doing. The this one right here is a lemon cucumber that I purchased. We'll see how well it's doing. Now, one thing I will say about my cucumbers, more really my squashes, I noticed I already had aphids starting to show up on them, and what I did is just turned them upside down and sprayed them off, and hopefully that'll really help. There was a couple of aphids and a lot of eggs on there, and I found a couple of rocks with ladybugs on them, so I picked them up and put them closer to my garden, hoping that maybe they'll decide to find a place there. Over here we have a slicing cucumber, and if you can see, it's already got some flowers on there, so we'll be doing good. Over there, right there, is a sugar baby watermelon. Some of the leaves started dying off and turning brown, but it seems to be doing a lot better. I think in the trays that I had them in, they weren't getting quite the water that they needed because the trays weren't fully dropping in. Right there we have a cantaloupe sweet and early. We have a zucchini squash right here. And this one is doing better now. The beginning leaves have turned dried and fallen off, and that's kind of normal. The corn back here is doing just great. So that's doing there. I still have a few squares here that I haven't planted. I tried to plant 2 of everything, and then whatever dies, I've got backups of, so we'll see what happens. Now, beginning of last week, we had a frost. It didn't hurt my 1 plants that I had planted early, but it did hurt these 4 different marigolds that I have in the 2 different beds. But it didn't hurt the plants in the other bed. Here we have our okra, and that seems to be doing really good, really popped up. Over here, right there, we have our honeydew. That's called an early dew. And we have another one right there. I had one right here, and for some reason, it just didn't like being transplanted, and it died. Maybe its roots got damaged or something like that. Back here, I'll back up a little bit there for you. Here, there, and along this row there are what we call leeks. They're Titan leeks, so they should get really big. So what I did there is I actually planted them 4 to a square just to be safe. Back here we have our Dixie squash. That's the one I told you I found aphids on. And then next to that, right there, that little tiny thing there, that is an Asian eggplant. I've got 2 of those right next to each other in those 2 squares over there. Over there, that right there is a Georgia rattlesnake watermelon. I'm kind of growing some big vines close to each other, but like I said, I'm also expecting some things may not make it. This right here, that one right there, and the other one over here, both of those are the green slicing cucumbers. Now back here, I don't think I'm getting, you can see some weeds actually here. These may be some green beans. I'm not fully sure, but I don't think so. I planted green beans all along this row, Asian green beans, but I think maybe the seeds weren't valid or something because I really don't think they're coming up. One thing I also want to point out, see this big hole right here? That rock, and let me get you in close. That rock right there was in that big hole. The one thing I noticed in my mix, because some of it, like the worm castings and I believe the mushroom compost, were half soil. And I noticed that I had a lot of rocks. So you really got to spend time looking at the soil and really picking stuff out. Now, here's the first bed that I put down on April 20th. And if you notice here, this got some damage. But all the lettuce is doing good. And look at these radishes. These radishes are just really doing great. But got a lovely surprise this morning. One of the neighbor's cats got into the garden bed. I've never had cats around here as a problem, but I guess I'm going to have to get something to keep them out of here. Those were my carrots. Those were the little finger carrots. He's probably damaged and destroyed all of them, or at least a good chunk of them. We'll see what happens. There we have our scallions, and behind our scallions we have our celery, and one more patch of the more scallions, I believe, and then farther back over there, let me take you back, right there are some more of those Titan leeks. The spinach here is doing pretty good. It's coming along pretty well. Then we have our butter crunch lettuce right there and there. Then if we come over here, we have our iceberg lettuce, which is in these two patches. And then finally, I'm glad to say, this is our flat Dutch cabbage. It's called flat Dutch late. We over here have some more carrots coming up. I planted 4 different squares of carrots, but I may end up only having 2. Back here, finally, our sugar snap peas are finally coming together, but only about, I'd say 50 to 75% of what I planted is actually taking up. And I think part of it is 1, the seeds, and 2, we're going back to the thing about here up against the fence. Gets morning sun, but it's not getting sun the rest of the day. So, well, that's a little garden report. Like I said, got to do something about the cat. And then up along this fence right here, got some weeds and stuff got to take care of. But I'm going to put another planter box here, and that's where I'm going to put my Roma tomatoes. So I got that to do. And then also I need to start working on a trellis in the next week or 2 to be able to trellis up the cucumbers and the tomatoes and the sweet peas over here and just make everything look a lot better. So there's your update. Good gardening, guys. Bye.